This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you believe? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter.
And welcome into a brand new Thursday edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, hosted by me, Desmond Johnson, Jonathan Stewart, the all-time leading rusher in Panthers history, and Sports Illustrated Schuyler Callihan. You can follow all of us on Twitter. We'll give you the handles and stuff here momentarily. Loaded show. Getting ready for this upcoming tilt out to the West Coast. Panthers taking on the Los Angeles Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. We'll get you the details on that and our predictions on that as well. Also, our thoughts on head coach or interim head coach Steve Wilks. We're going to do a little something different in terms of giving you different perspectives on how this is being perceived. We're going to give you the players' perspective on what the players may be thinking, what the players may be going through with the switching to a new coach from Jay Stu. The media perspective, we saw basically owner David Tepper basically challenged Scott Fowler to a steel cage match earlier this week in that press conference. So we'll talk a little bit about how the media is gathering all this info in, what they're dealing with in terms of the switch in the regime, and the fan perspective. I'll give you the fan perspective in terms of what the fans are doing and what they're thinking. But of course, it is Thursday, and when it's Thursday, we do a little something special here called "Tell Them Why You're Mad."
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Where we basically go through. It's got to be football related, but it doesn't have to be Panther related. Anything you saw this week that got you kind of hot and bothered, we always start off our Thursday shows with that. So welcome to everybody that's watching on YouTube, that's listening on the different podcast platforms that we have the show available on. The show's grown considerably over the past couple of weeks. I want to thank everybody that's found us and continues to share what we're doing for the Bleav Podcast Network. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything, real quick word from our sponsors at BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, for live in-game betting to props and futures. Head to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And where we start today is where we start every Thursday. It's Tell Them Why You're Mad Thursday.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
And I had to pick through a couple guys in terms of what I wanted, but I landed on one, and social media forced me to land on this. I'm going to go last, so I'm going to let you guys go first. Stu, why you mad this week, man? Something had to happen in the football world. I don't think Denver played on Thursday, or they haven't played this week yet, so you can't pick Denver. But other than that, why are you mad?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Hold on, we got Stu. Stu is muted. You're muted, Stu. There you go.
All right. What I was saying was the Broncos. I'm gonna tell you. No, I'm messing with you. Nah, they didn't play this week, so they're not gonna get this gas.
No,
but what I'm gonna tell you though, Chris Jones had an amazing defensive play. Could have been like that would have been a top 10 run play for at least a couple weeks, for a month. Like, he deserves the player. He would get, in my mind, top 5 defensive play of the year, football wise. If only he didn't get roughing the passer on Derek Carr. Come on, man.
It's got out of hand. It's really got
this is getting out of hand. Yeah. I mean, I saw a segment, friend of mine, Mark Hergslich, on TV with Kevin Hart. They were making fun of this. This is becoming comical. This is becoming comical to where Kevin Hart is coming on to sports shows and telling everybody football's getting soft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I get it, man. You want to protect your players. You want to protect them from themselves. We had the situation with Tua with the concussion, the last several weeks and whatnot. So your awareness as a referee and all those things coming from the NFL are heightened. I understand, but listen, a football tackle is a football tackle. A sack is a sack. A stripped fumble recovery sack is an amazing play. That's what happened. Like, there's no reason why that should have been called roughing the passer. And I was extremely disappointed. I was so mad that I actually got up out of my seat and went to go to the kitchen and started stress eating because it stressed me out. So
you
shame on
the Raiders.
I don't, but it's just bad football like that. Like, come on, man. Like, there needs to be some type of committee that says, nah, I understand, but
doesn't it be reviewable?
This needs to be reviewed. This needs to be reviewed.
Right now, right?
Nah, this needs to be reviewed. And this was a great play. Congratulations.
I thought it was just Tom
Chiefs
Brady,
ball.
But I thought it was just Tom Brady getting concessions. But when you give it to Derek Carr too,
man,
within 6 days, something.
And I'll tell you one thing too. Like, where was this at when Cam was getting his head knocked off when I was playing?
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, we can stop. We can really go down the road there. People don't want to go down.
Alone, just on that.
He's
a running back. He's running back that throws the ball, so we treat him differently.
Listen, we treating him differently. All right. 2020 didn't already happen. I hope everybody, when they was at home in the pandemic, was able to tune in onto what was going on in reality, how people getting treated out here ain't fairly. And I understand that you want to protect people, but you got to make sure that thing doesn't get out of line like it did the other night.
It's crazy too, because Josh Allen plays the same way as Cam Newton. He gets the same respect in terms of the rough and the passer calls. I think I saw a graphic where he's like number 2 or something total in the past 5 or 6 years in roughing the passer calls. I think Tom Brady's number 1, with a bullet, but right below him is Josh Allen. And I was just like, how? How is he number 2? He's out there running he's literally the Bills running back, it feels like. Yeah. And he's got all these roughing the passer calls. So that's a good one. Schuyler, it's been a minute. You missed our celebration episode on Monday. We knew when we taped on Monday that early. We never taped that early. And I mentioned it at the very start. I was like, watch, this is going to be the week. It's going to go down this week. As soon as we do this and we go part our ways, that's when they're going to make their move. And that's exactly what happened about 30 minutes after we were done recording. I was on the highway. Stu was off doing something. Schuyler had a busy Monday. I think you said you were going to Krispy Kreme or something.
I was going to Krispy Kreme to get a hot chocolate, and then all of a sudden I looked down at my phone. And I'm like, oh my gosh!
This is the second time in a row that's happened.
So wait, you went to Krispy Kreme's to get a hot chocolate?
Yes.
Hey, don't sleep on their coffee hot cocoa game. They're Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like Krispy Kreme-ish chocolate or something? Or
Krispy Kreme-ish.
Actually, it would have been my first one. Because I've never had it before. My fiance actually suggested it. She's like, you need to get a Krispy Kreme, get a hot chocolate. I'm like, all right. So I obviously start to go. Matt gets fired. And I'm like, crap. So I pulled off the side of the road. I'm sitting on the interstate heading to Charlotte. And people just whizzing by me. And, yeah, it was I was glad I already had the article wrote. So
he had it in the chamber. He knew.
Dang, boy, you was ready?
Wow.
Hey, lesson learned, kids. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's right.
You want to know how ready I was? I told Desmond this. I actually may have sent it into the group chat with you guys. I had that article ready at 2:30 on game day.
Dang.
Because I told you, I had that feeling going over the stadium. And I'm like, I'm just going to get this now in case it happens. And it happens right after the game. I'm going to be prepared. So
it felt like the end on Sunday. It really, looking back on it, it felt like that was going to be his last game. The whole thing, the stands being all red. Even Tepper mentioned that, in his press conference, which was a bit testy earlier this week. Let's stay and tell him why you're mad, Schuyler. What's the deal? Why are you mad this week?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. son.
Well, I'm mad because I didn't get my damn hot chocolate. But
hey,
no,
let's start right there.
But I'm going back and forth on this because I've got a bone to pick with 2 owners in the NFL. But we'll save Tepper for later because I can throw that stuff in there. So my thing is, how is Daniel Snyder still an owner of an NFL football team? I I don't know why he's still around, first of all. And then I'm seeing all this stuff come out today about that he supposedly has dirt on all these other NFL owners, which is probably why he still is where he is, because no one else is going to say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know what to make of all that, but I'm sure there's a couple of other guys in this league. I have no idea who they would be, but I'm sure there's a couple other owners that probably have some skeletons in their closet that they don't want revealed. But Dan Snyder's got to go, man. I mean, this is terrible. I feel bad for Washington. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, their fan base has the worst owner, has the worst stadium. Like, you can make an argument. I'm not a huge fan of their uniforms either. I mean, I don't know what that's worth, but their whole rebranding process, like, they are just a terrible, miserable franchise right now, and they need to get the trash out, and it starts with him.
It's a bad representation for the NFL.
Yeah, it really is. It's gotten to the point that used to be, and it's sad that I say used to be, that used to be like one of the most dedicated fan bases in all of the NFL. Like, I would put them up there with the Steelers,
Cowboys.
I mean, Giants. Like, their fan base stuck through thick and thin, through everything, different coaches. And I have friends that are Washington fans, and they talk about Daniel Snyder like past tense. Like, they understand they can't do anything until Dan Snyder is no longer the owner of the Washington Commanders. And from the way it looks, I don't know if he's going to not be the owner anytime soon. I'm curious about this whole I got dirt on people thing. Like, why even bring this up? Like, today, like, I woke up to it too. And like, what in the world? Like, did somebody threaten you, Dan Snyder? And you're
That's
like,
what it feels like, right? I mean,
or that man was being he had a dream or something, woke up from a dream.
Before y'all decide to kick me out of here, just understand I got some stuff on all of you. So just if I'm leaving, the whole house is coming with me. So yeah,
it's kind of interesting to think about that. A guy in his position, with all the resources he has and all the opportunities that he can really present himself, why bring down a whole organization?
Seriously,
because of pride.
Yeah, you're a billionaire. Go find something else to do. Like,
yeah, man,
this is nuts. They can't even get a stadium built out there. Like, they're sitting on FedEx money and still can't get something going. So I don't know. That's a pretty good one. For me, the reason why I'm mad this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
I am irritated at Carolina Panther fans, and I'm gonna be very specific here on why I'm irritated.
Be careful now, Desmond.
Oh, I'm gonna be careful. You're gonna know who they are. Why in the world are some of you in such a hurry to trade off Christian McCaffrey? Like, I don't understand this. Like, I've seen ever since Steve Wilks was named the interim head coach, the very first thing I see on Twitter is potential destination spots for Christian McCaffrey, or here's where such and such might inquire about DJ Moore. And it's like nonstop. It's just all these different news outlets that are online that just started putting out sources tell us that Christian McCaffrey has been blah, 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 or the Bills have reached out for Christian McCaffrey. Let me explain something to y'all. For starters, Christian McCaffrey is on the first year of his extension. Like, it would cost the Panthers more money to get rid of him than it would to keep him. DJ Moore just signed an extension in the offseason. Same with him. Like, you're hustling backwards. Like, if you're talking about getting rid of McCaffrey, this isn't Madden. You know what I mean? Like, they're all in like franchise mode, and they're all like, well, we need to trade him while he's got value. We can get a couple first-round picks, a second-round pick for McCaffrey, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't get that. First of all, no team's giving that up. Second of all, there's not a lot of teams that are out there that have the room to bring him on, like with his salary. Like, Christian McCaffrey's going to be making what, like 12, 13 million a year over the next like 4 years or whatnot.
Stay out that man's pocket, man.
No, I'm just saying, like people are all like, they think it's so easy to do this. Like,
right.
What do fans think we've been doing the past 2 or 3 years? They're all like, well, we need to stockpile draft picks. We need to tear this whole thing down. Like, they've been doing that the past 2 years. The talent is not the problem. Like, we look at the roster and we're like, they've actually done pretty good, filling in holes, fixing some areas of concern. The talent wasn't the problem. It was how the talent was being used. That was the problem. Like, Christian McCaffrey's not washed up. Christian McCaffrey's getting 8 carries a game. DJ Moore's not washed up. DJ Moore's getting targeted like 4 times a game. Like, I don't understand the logic of we need to trade them to get picks, but then these are the same people that are like, we need to get them the ball more. Like, if we're going to evaluate Steve Wilks properly, we can't take away all the talent and then be like at the end of the year, well, Steve, you didn't win any games. We're going to just, move on to something else. Well, you traded Christian McCaffrey 2 weeks after you put me in the role. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So please, Carolina Panther fans, I love you, but you got to chill. Y'all got to chill. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore aren't going anywhere. Matter of fact, they posted a Twitter video of them riding in a car together yesterday, listening to P. Diddy's Bad Boys for Life. The hook, we ain't going nowhere. Like, they're singing that in the car, driving to practice or whatever. And it was just like, this is for all the fans out there that seem to think that you can just move these guys around like a chessboard. They're not going anywhere. We don't want them to go anywhere. We want to use them. Please get off the bandwagon of trying to trade our best players. We
just gotta be smarter fans.
Please.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Because we get this narrative that we're not very good, like smart fans, Carolina Panther fans collectively. I'm just letting y'all know. Like, this is what people tell me, that we don't know how to evaluate talent and all this other stuff. We do ourselves no favors by sitting here and saying we should trade off who many consider the best running back in the entire league for a second-round draft pick. Why?
Terrible.
Like, what are we doing? Like, what? That doesn't makes no sense. Like, and that's something that, like, it doesn't even guarantee that we're going to be better. Like, I see people saying we should tank CJ Stroud.
People are instant gratification grabbers.
Yep.
Like, the social media life has got people thinking that what I see on social media needs to happen right now. And if it's not happening right now, I need to start from scratch.
Yep.
But hey, live on social media you want to. That ain't the real life. And all this speculative stuff.
It's just
tired of people speculating.
It's just speculating. It's clickbait. They're not.
I always laugh whenever I see like the Bills inquire about Christian McCaffrey. Like, yeah, I'm sure they probably did, but does that mean anything? Like, I could inquire about a Ferrari, doesn't mean I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, you can dream. We dream all the time.
Yeah, they make it seem like, oh, that means the Panthers are selling Christian McCaffrey. Like,
it was all a dream.
There's
Word Up magazine.
Here's the thing: people take so much value and hold so much weight into those things. And like, okay, like Bean may have called Fitterer and said something about McCaffrey, or tried to call it Fitterer. Doesn't mean Scott answered.
Yeah, he just looked at the phone like, look at this.
Yeah,
look at the Bills. Look at the Bills always bothering me.
Trying to get our players again. I don't know. I've seen it all week. It's starting to taper down a little bit now because people have come out and are like, well, that's inaccurate or that didn't happen or whatever the case may be. But yeah, Panther fans, y'all got to chill. Like, they wouldn't have let Rule go in week 5. They were planning on blowing this whole thing up. You don't look at it this way. Here's the best way I can describe it for Panther fans. Say you were building a house, a nice house. The foundation gets built. And then all of a sudden, through whatever reason, the builder just starts going weird and starts building like the windows with no glass in it or something. Like, just something weird just started happening. The house ain't right. So you fire the builder, right? You bring in a new builder to finish the house. That builder doesn't necessarily have to destroy the foundation. The foundation was fine. He just needs to get rid of the junk that's on top of the foundation and then build it the way you want it to be built. McCaffrey, Moore, Burns, those guys, that's the foundation. That's the foundation of our core group. We're not trying to break that up. None of those guys I mentioned are older than 30 years old. Like, they're all in their 20s. I think McCaffrey might be the oldest one. He's what, 26?
26 maybe.
What are we doing? Like, you want to trade them off so we can maybe hit it again in the draft and hopefully find somebody that pans out? Like, none of that's guaranteed. So stop it. Just stop it. Let's see what we got. Let's see what Wilks does with the talent we have. We'll put a pin in it, come back to this in the offseason if necessary. But I'll be damned if the Panther fan base runs off Christian McCaffrey because they feel like we can get a second-round pick for him while his value is still good. And I'm like, it don't make no damn sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Let's move over to interim head coach Steve Wilks. Something I wanted to get into because we have the luxury and the beauty of having different perspectives on this podcast. I wanted to hit it off of different, like him coming in this week. For starters, he's impressed the hell out of me in these 2 press conferences that he's had. Like, he has shown the stark difference between a Matt Rule press conference and literally any other football coach, because Wilks comes in, he's straightforward, he answers questions, he's not stumbling, he doesn't have the appearance of someone who's like trying to figure out an answer in his head while he's talking. Like he seems very clear. He seems like a leader of men. Like that's the vibe I get from him. I never caught that vibe from Matt Rule. From Matt Rule, I caught a vibe of like, I don't want to dog him because he ain't here no more, but like used car salesman almost. Like, let me get you in this let me get you in this Ford Tempo. You know, I understand they don't make them anymore, but hey, we just putting the tires on it. Like it's clean. We just cleaned it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's different two colors. It's like two-tone. It's got the wood panel thing going on. But hey, I'm gonna get you a great deal. I'm gonna get you a great deal in this Tempo. Wilks doesn't sound like that at all to me. Wilks sounds more like he seems almost like he seems like he's been here. Seems like he's been here before. That's what I wanted, the comfort. Like
seasoned.
Putting on a pair of shoes that okay, he understands the culture. And Rule never really understood the culture here. So I think that's going to filter down. I don't know what's going to hold for the rest of the season, but I'm way more interested in the rest of the season now than I was a week ago. So I wanted to hit it from different perspectives. Stu, you being a former player, not just a former player, but a former Panther who has been on teams where Wilks was in the building. You mentioned before on the previous episode how he gives the best pregame speeches. I wanted to hear from the player perspective. What do you think they're going through? Have you ever had a situation where you had a coach get changed mid-season?
No.
So, so what do you think the players are thinking right now as they prepare for the Rams with Wilks taking command from the player perspective?
I think if you're a guy on that team right now, especially a young guy, you see this as an opportunity to thrive, really. A change of regime, a change in coaching mentality is an opportunity for you to make an impression, for whatever changes are to come. You want to be one of those guys that is seen as a guy that can make a difference. It's not really any different from an off-season coaching change. The only difference is right now for the Carolina Panthers and the guys is you still have an opportunity to save the season, and that could be the story. You can be a part of that story. And so I'm a young guy. I'm looking at that as a positive, a breath of fresh air, an opportunity to learn from a guy that is respected in the league from other guys that have played with him. And if you're an older guy, this gives me life. Legitimately gives me life. Like, hey, like my owner realizes that we have an opportunity here to make some strides, and he's not wasting any time. He's not wasting my time, and he's not wasting the fans' time. He's not wasting his own time. He's trying to win right now. And I think that move, 5th game in the season, says exactly that. We still have a lot of games to play, and the cards can fall wherever they may. Like we talked about, the 7-8-1 season that I was a part of. I mean, we played like crap throughout the first part of the year. And then so did the rest of the division. Right?
Wait, what's year again? You said 2014?
2014, yeah.
Oh, the 7-8-1, yeah.
7-8-1, yeah. And the Falcons started off hot, and then they just shot themselves in the foot, and that left the door open for us. And so that's what the NFL is all about, and that's what makes this game so special, because it doesn't really matter what you do the first. You can be lights out first 6 games of the year, but if you don't finish strong, which is what Wilks is coming from, he's coming from a coaching background where he was with Rivera, with the teams that, when November and December came along, we were winning games. And so, and I think like if you're an older guy, this like is definitely a good sign that, hey man, we just got to rally. We got to figure out what is our recipe, because obviously the recipe before wasn't working. So whatever recipe that Wilks is about to provide for us, we got to be the forefront. We got to be the guys that are going to take this on and bring the younger guys with us, so that way we can like really be a part of something special here. Because change is coming, and change is good if you can adapt and receive it. And so I think that's what this is about. I think Wilks obviously is a great messenger. And to be a good coach, you have to be a great messenger. You have to be able to talk to the younger guys, the older guys. You got to be able to change it up and read the room. You got to be able to deliver messaging to the public, to the fans, to the other coaching staff and whatnot. So I think this is a great opportunity for the Panthers, and I almost feel like they saw this coming with hiring Wilks from the get-go.
Yeah, we talked about that. When that name popped back up, that they were bringing him back, immediately I thought he's the exit. Like, if something goes terribly wrong first quarter of this season, I would not be surprised if they turn the keys over to Wilks and let him try to do something. I'm actually expecting this defense to look like it's getting shot out of a cannon on Sunday. Like, they might be playing more freely than they have in the past 3 years. Phil Snow had a great scheme. Last year they were second overall in yards allowed, but that scheme did have some weaknesses. It did make you could see the defense getting tired in the fourth quarter a lot based off of what they were forced to do in the first 3 quarters. I think there's going to be a huge philosophy change in terms of what they do defensively with the parts that they have on that defense. I can't wait to see what they do with the pieces they have.
I think you're definitely going to see some simplifying going on, getting guys to play faster. I mean, the practice yesterday, I went by there yesterday, and the tempo just seemed upbeat. It seemed like a practice that I was once a part of, almost, kind of. And work day Wednesday, you got the pads on, go out there, practice hard, go through your reps fast, and play up to speed without thinking. If you're thinking and if you're thinking, you're too late. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't I see too, and Schuyler, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they used to wear pads on Thursdays? Isn't that one of the first things that he switched? He switched it so they would wear pads on Wednesdays when they're doing first and second down stuff, which makes complete and total sense to me. Is that correct that they moved it to Wednesdays now where they're in pads?
Yeah, they've done both in the past, but this year they've done Wednesday no pads, Thursday pads. I think it's a good idea. I mean, obviously it doesn't give Christian McCaffrey a chance because that's his day off, but
he doesn't. I'm gonna just go out there and tell you. As a running back, you don't need those days. You're getting hit on Sunday
more than anybody.
You're getting hit. People are coming at you more than anybody, especially if they plan on giving him the ball the way they should be.
I have no problem with McCaffrey on the sideline on Wednesday while they're out there popping each other.
I think the biggest thing with that change is just the mindset, because not only this past week, but if you're coming off a loss and you didn't play well, maybe you weren't physical enough, you didn't set the tone up front, that's a way to wake you up real quick and put that last week behind you. That first practice, get in there and start hitting, and you can forget everything that just happened.
It's a mental gauge, right? You come off of a loss, getting your butt whooped, you're sore, you're tired, you don't want to do anything. That's why we used to call it Workday Wednesday, right? Guys that had to come and be padded up and go out there and practice when you didn't want to. That's what really got you going.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, now I got that day out of the way. Now I can go focus on the other intangibles, like my gap fittings and where my hand should be and coming out of the break. And like, you can really start the mental focus on your actual craft. You get the physical out of the way and say, okay, I'm good. I know I'm good because I did it. I did that even when it was hard, because that would be the hardest day to do it. And so now you have Thursday, Friday to really just be like, okay, my confidence is good. I know what I'm doing. I'm checked in. Let's go play ball.
Schuyler, continuing on with the theme here of different perspectives with interim head coach Steve Wilks, his first week taking over the Panthers. football team. Give me the perspective from the media. You're in the media room with all these folks. Again, like I said, the main takeaway from David Tepper's press conference earlier in the week was him button heads with Scott Fowler right at the very end there. Honestly, I kind of agree with Tepper a little bit because Fowler was asking him questions that were kind of like not redundant, but just like he's not going to tell somebody, okay, I figured this out at 9:45 in the evening on Sunday that I was going to do this. Like that felt like the questions that he was getting asked. But give me the perspective in the media of Steve Wilks, your interactions with him so far this week, what you're hearing other media people say in terms of him at the podium, because he's been at the podium now, his introductory press conference, and he was out there again after practice yesterday. So you've had a couple times with him. I don't think he spoke today. I think the coordinator spoke today. Right. Give us your perspective as a media personality for Sports Illustrated and dealing with other media personalities from around the area. What's the media perception of Steve Wilks right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually even go back real quick and just kind of know my experience with Matt Rule and then kind of compare it. So
nice.
I know everyone's had different experiences with Matt. Obviously, you're seeing different stuff out on Twitter. I can't speak to those because I don't know. I never had a bad interaction with Matt Rule. And as I put on, I don't know if I put it on Twitter or Facebook, whatever. I met Matt in 2019 when he was still the head coach at Baylor. I was out there for Big 12 Media Days. Same person then as he was during the time he was with the Carolina Panthers. And in terms of how he interacted with the media, I don't know how he interacts with people that work with the Panthers media or the team or the cameras or anything like that. I don't know how he operates with those people. From my interactions with him, it's always been very genuine, down to earth, very classy. So I don't have a bad thing to say about Matt Rule. I think he's a great person, a great guy, good football coach, just out of his element. The thing that I see different with Matt and Steve, and as you kind of alluded to it, is just the been there, done that kind of feeling that you get from Steve. Like he's been there before. He understands how to handle certain questions. Matt, I think he was always a guy that was out of place, trying to always find a way to fit in. And I felt like he battled that constantly, not even just in the press conferences, but on the field too. Like I felt like the entire time he was in Carolina, he was always trying to fit in with the rest, and it never was working. It's like a square peg in a round hole.
Mm-hmm.
And when he goes back to college, which we all assume, I think you're going to see him be a perfect fit wherever he goes. He's going to find success again and yada yada. So, but with Steve, I like him. I think, it's only been a couple of times that we've gotten to talk to him, but I think he goes about his business the right way. He's focused, he's locked in. And most importantly, and I don't think that Matt didn't do this, but I think he has the attention of the players, right? I think when he speaks, guys listen. And that's what you want from a leader, especially from your head coach. So I think Steve's going to do a great job. I really do. And I actually told one of the Spanish radio guys yesterday, Antonio, I said, I wouldn't be shocked if this team turns it around. And I'm not saying they make the playoffs. I'm not saying they go on a serious run and win 5-6 games in a row. But I think you're going to see just the overall culture and the attitude of this team change. And Steve Wilks is going to put himself in a position to get that interim tag removed and be the head coach full time.
I'm rooting for that. Like I see these folks already trying to compile lists. That was another thing that I actually forgot that it was making me mad.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
People trying to hire Sean Payton like today. Like they want Sean Payton. Yeah, man, they want Sean Payton in here like now. And I'm like, he's not available until 2024, first of all. And second of all, I don't think he would go someplace in the same division. Like if he was going to go anywhere, it's not going to be in the NFC South. It'll be Dallas or Philly.
New Orleans will have to trade him, right?
I think New Orleans would still own his rights. I think you would have to trade for him.
I think they'd have to trade him. I don't see that happening.
He's in his 60s too. I'm like, I don't want Sean Payton. Like, I want Steve Wilks. I want Steve Wilks to succeed and actually be the coach here for a while. Like, I really, the fan perspective. I had the fan perspective in this whole thing. I think the fans missed. There was a good article that was written. I don't remember where I came across it. It was the Ringer. I came across it today. It popped up on my phone. I started reading it, and it was talking about how the 3 years that Matt Rule was here, he never really embraced Panther culture,
the history.
And David Tepper, one of the faults that he may have made in that press conference, besides the whole "I brought music to Charlotte" thing that everybody's beating into the ground, that's not what he meant. I mean, come on, guys. Like, literally, the past 3 days, I've been hearing people going, "Oh, David Tepper brought music to Charlotte," and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just finding stuff. Tepper probably shouldn't have basically alluded to the fact that the Panthers never really had a culture here, because that's not true. The Panthers have always had a culture. Now, is it a culture where we've got a bunch of trophies and rings and that kind of stuff? No. But we do have an identity here that's known around the league, and that's been lost in the past 3 years or so. The Panthers don't feel like a Carolina Panther team when you watch them up to this point. It didn't feel like they were going to run the ball. Like, it didn't feel like they were capable of big plays. It didn't feel like the defense was going to commit or cause turnovers and be the driving force. Like, throughout this team's history, the stars have been on the defensive side for the most part. And when you go from the beginning, Sam Mills has a statue outside of the building. Julius Peppers is going to be the first ballot Hall of Famer in Panthers history. Like, it's all over there. Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, like, you can go on and on and on. Dan Morgan, John Beeson, like, those dudes are, like, from the beginning to now have been the foundation of that keep pounding core mantra. And then on the offensive side, you got guys like Stu, you got guys like D'Angelo Williams and Steve Smith, Cam Newton, Jake Delhomme, like guys that different iterations of the team, but the feeling was still there that, yeah, it might not be Jake Delhomme anymore. Cam Newton's taken over, but we're still the Carolina Panthers. This is what we're going to do. Like, you can try to stop it, but some years we're going to run right through you. Some years it's going to be a battle. I think the fans miss that aspect. We don't feel connected to the team because of what happened over the past 3 years. And I think with Steve Wilks, it made it feel familiar again to me as a fan. Like, listening to him, when I was sitting there listening to him, I'm just like, damn, he sounds like a Panther head coach. Like, he sounds like one. He's saying the right things. He's not ducking questions. He's giving clear answers. He looked like he belonged up there. And Matt Rule never really looked like he was comfortable up there. Like, it looked like he was fidgety, and like it gave the appearance that he was lying. And I've said this on this podcast before. Well, I mean, have I not, Schuyler? Like, I've said it before, where you always felt like Matt Rule was trying to get around something when he would start talking at the press conference, and his words would speed up.
Yeah, I think what you're really saying is, as a leader, when you have information and your job is to like give information to others and to ignite something within them, as a player, you don't want sugarcoating. You don't want sandwiched information. Like, I don't want to have to peel back the sandwich to find out if it's ham or wish sandwich. You know what a wish sandwich is? You open up a piece of bread and you wish something was in there. That's a wish sandwich.
Wow.
Yeah. So
another nugget on the Bleav.
Yeah. So that's what I used to eat. That's what I used to eat when I was little.
Wish sandwiches. I had a few in my day too. Yeah.
Yeah. Squeeze them together. But I think like you just want what they have in Steve Wilks is someone that's going to be very direct. And when you have a guy that's very direct, you know exactly what you're supposed to do.
Which is what you probably want. You want that,
which
right?
is like exactly like with Coach Rivera, he would come up to me before game. All right, Stewie, be you. Consistent every just about every week, right?
Yeah.
All right, be you. Time to go. Like the consistency, even in that, how he talked to me was different than what he would say to a Tolbert or to D'Angelo or to a Greg. Mm-hmm. It would be personalized to that individual. Yeah. Personalized. Whenever you can be personal with a person, you accept that in a whole different light. It's like, man, like I met Emmitt Smith this Arizona game.
I saw that.
He made that such a personal moment for me that like I had to share it. Like I geeked out. Like he understood that this was a good, like an important moment for me. And so he personalized it. And so now I'll cherish that for the rest of my life. Like I'll remember every word he said to me because he personalized it and he didn't just sandwich it. Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, bye bye bye. You know what I'm saying? So a
I
good
love
coach,
him. He's one of my favorites.
yeah,
He's
a
one of
good
my
coach,
favorites
a
of all
good
time.
leader is going to personalize, his messaging and relationship with those that he's leading.
Let's real quick before we get out of here, Game 6 preview: Panthers at Rams. This game, 4:05, another 4:00 kickoffs, our third one in a row. 4:05 p.m. on Fox. Panthers 1-4 on the season. The Rams 2-3 on the season themselves, but it is a home matchup. Carolina is actually 13-9 all time against the Rams in series history. The Rams won the last time they saw each other. Carolina's 7-4 all time when facing the Rams on the road, but they've never played them at SoFi Stadium. LA won the last matchup in 2019, 30-27, which would have been Ron Rivera's last year here in Carolina. I can't remember if he was still here when they played the Rams or not. Trying to get some stats here for you guys to make your predictions off of. Fairly similar. The Rams struggling themselves, total yards per game. They're averaging a little under 300 yards per game at 299. We're at 271, dead last in the league. The Rams are having problems running the ball worse than us. They're only averaging 62 yards per game on the ground, 237 in the air, so that's only good for 18th, about middle of the league. They've allowed 21 sacks, and I just saw their center is ruled out for Sunday. Third down efficiency, they're a little better, about 41% on third down. We're dead last at 24%. The Rams are only averaging 16 points per game. So I don't want to carry over this whole 17-point thing to Steve Wilks. He doesn't deserve that. That's something that's going to go out the door with Matt Rule. But the Rams are only averaging 16 points a game, so just keep that in mind. Total yards per game, they're actually only doing 321. This is a game where I feel like they can be had. Let's just go through it. What do you thoughts here, Schuyler? Let's start with you. Thoughts on the Panthers versus Rams, or do you want Stu to go first? Because Stu will jump in there.
No, I'll go first.
Be careful, Schuyler. I'll come over there and drop kick you. Okay.
I think I'm picking the Panthers this week, and actually feeling good about it. Last week was a wish. This is more of a feeling, like. Yeah, and the matchup looks good too. So give me what you got here, Panthers Rams.
All right. So last week I was pretty spot on. I don't know if I'm going to be that spot on again. It was just I thought it was too obvious to me.
You see how he put that in there? That he was on point last week.
Yeah. He was nice. He was nice.
He was on it. He was on it.
I will say, like earlier this week, I did a show with Charlotte Sports Live, and I said 26-13 Rams. I'm changing my prediction slightly. So I'm making progress, but I'm still going 21-18 Rams. The one thing that concerns me about this game is, like, yes, the Rams have struggled offensively, but they still have Cooper Kupp. The Panthers may not have J.C. Horn. We don't know about Xavier Woods. We don't know how well C.J. Henderson's going to play. Like, there's a lot of banged up guys in that secondary.
Dante's banged up too, isn't he? Or that's something from a week or two ago.
I don't know if he still is or not, but he was at one point. And then you look at what San Francisco did last week. It's not exactly the same of what LA is going to do, but they still have that eye candy stuff, right? They get you looking in different spots. They fool you with all these motions and stuff like that. So I think LA will take some of what San Francisco did last week, apply it to this week's game plan, and they're going to execute it. This is what they feel like is a get-right game for them. But the reason I have it so close is because of the whole situation with Carolina. That I don't know if that really seeps into players' heads. Maybe Stu can talk to this more. But I feel like this is kind of almost like a look-ahead spot, or maybe not a look-ahead spot, but maybe like a letdown spot. But they find a way to get that win. I'm going with 21-18 Rams.
Those are actually pretty good points. Stu? What you got? Panthers Rams 4:05 on Fox Sunday. I didn't realize it before you give it. I was just sitting there poking around. we were talking about how they weren't really using McCaffrey as much as we thought they should. Even though the offense has been struggling, McCaffrey had his 4th straight game with over 100 scrimmage yards on Sunday. Yeah. He's one of only 4 players in the league that's had 4 games of 100-plus yards this season. Him and Nick Chubb. In 4 consecutive weeks. So it hasn't been so much that he hasn't been used. He just hasn't been used in the way that I guess we're used to seeing him used. And maybe we think that, well, we know that he could be used a whole lot more. Stu, what you got, Panthers, Rams?
Schuyler. Whatever, dude. I'm gonna just go out the gate and say the Panthers are gonna find some offense.
Ooh,
with PJ, huh?
PJ Walker to the rescue.
Like depending on, like, I know at the end of the day, Baker has the high ankle. Not really sure where his recovery is with that, if he's still trying to play or whatnot. But I think on Monday, I'm going to have a peanut butter jelly sandwich for PJ. Okay?
Well played.
Because I feel like this is an opportunity for him to shine. You have a new coach. You have an opportunity to go out there and start a game. This is nothing but the life of a chance of a lifetime for a guy like him. You get to go out there with a healthy Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, the offensive line that can protect. And I feel like Christian's going to have a huge game in these check downs, because I feel like PJ sees the check downs. I feel like he's going to utilize the check downs. And I hope the offensive coordinator and the scheme and all that sees it that way. I want to see some quick throws, because that's where he thrives, right? Get the ball out quick. If it's not there deep, check it down. Okay? Just check it down. Be disciplined. Follow your rules, and just rely on the running game. Rely on it. I know that the Rams are stacked up front. I know what they are. We know who they are, but we have an offensive line that has been proving themselves to be, Icky played at an elite level this past week. Elite.
Elite. I was going to say, okay? I just saw that too, that Ike Kwanu posted a PFF grade of 92.1 against the 49ers, with the highest by any tackle this season, just last week.
So when you have guys on your team putting out scores or whatever grades of that nature, let that confidence settle in. You are that dog. And I hope, and I know Steve Wilks is representing this team like that in those meeting rooms behind those doors, telling these guys, you are what we need. You can go out there and make these things happen. PJ, peanut butter jelly time. I got 28. I got 28, as you can see. Number 28 special out here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 28-21. No, 28-24.
PB and J Walker.
It's going to be it's going to be a high scoring affair at SoFi.
I feel like that's one of these things. They're so evenly matched that I feel like it's got to be one of those things where you got to score some points.
And for Panther fans, take note. I mean, we're serious. Like, the Panthers actually match up really well with the Rams. The Rams are the defending Super Bowl champions. So it's not like the Panthers are just like have bottomed out and Matt Rule got let go because there's no talent or anything else on the roster. It just wasn't working out. And people gotta understand, it's okay that he didn't work out as an NFL coach. Like I said before, Nick Saban didn't work out as an NFL coach. Look at him. Like, there's not a lot of Jimmy Johnsons running around out there that can just seamlessly move into the NFL world. In terms of this game, I do feel like it's going to be a return to the run game. I think they're going to lean on it heavy. I do agree that PJ is going to use that check down of McCaffrey that we've seen him take, a little 5-yard pass, 20 yards up the field or whatever. It boggles my mind why they weren't doing this before. But I do think he said something. I don't know if you were there or not, Schuyler, but PJ said something today I thought was, or it might have been yesterday, though, I thought was really interesting. I don't know if he was supposed to say it, but he mentioned that, like, he made it sound like McAdoo lets his quarterback pick his plays. Like, he didn't say it in those words, but he kind of said it like, well, I'll get the plays that I want to run. He said it in a manner where it made it sound like he gets to pick out of the book what he's going to be running.
It seems like he was going to make his calls. He was going to get with Ben, make his pick his calls or something like that. Yeah,
and I'm okay with that because I want you to run the stuff that you're familiar with, that you know, and stuff that you think is going to work. So I'm fine with that, and I'm actually okay with McAdoo giving the quarterbacks that freedom to come to him and be like, "Hey, I want to do this, I want to do that," instead of him just force feeding. This is what we're going to do first 20 plays. I think it's going to be close. I think this game gets decided at the very end. I'm going to go Panthers 23-21 over the Rams on a last second field goal. Time expires.
Eddie Money?
Yeah, I think
Eddie
so. I don't even know where our kicker is right now. Like, is it Panera still? I thought he got hurt. Yeah, he's still Panera. And Panera, he's been doing okay. So I think if PJ can just keep us in this game, and it's going to be a tale of the defense harassing Matt Stafford all day, keeping Aaron Donald out of the pocket, which is a task in itself. I don't know how they're going to do this, but
we got to run boots. We got to get out. We got to run
PJ out of the lane of danger. Like, don't let him just sit there as a duck, because eventually, don't put 3 dudes on Aaron Donald. Eventually, he's going to show up at your party. He's going to be back there. So,
knock. Who's there? AD who? Gotcha.
Boom. Like, you got to be prepared. Aaron Donald's going to show up at your house party eventually. You don't know if it's going to be first quarter or the fourth quarter. You don't know if he's going to be just in and out or if he's going to be coming back and forth all day. So let's worry about Aaron Donald and get him contained. 23-21 is going to be my pick. Panthers win. Get Steve Wilks his first win as an interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers. You can follow us on Twitter. All of our episodes are on the Bleav Podcast Network. Go to YouTube. We see we got a bunch of people watching on YouTube right now. You can subscribe to Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. The videos are parked there. The audio of these podcasts are on all major podcast platforms: Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, Anchor. Go to any of those. Just type in Bleav in Carolina Panthers. You'll be able to find this episode and all previous episodes. Stu is on Twitter. His handle's right there. Schuyler's on Twitter. You can follow. I would suggest following him because he's at these practices throughout the week. He's usually going to give you the scoop on what's going on. Being the Panther beat writer for Sports Illustrated, his Twitter handle is Callihan_, and then of course mine here at Tobacco Radio, or my personal at DEZ_3505. So you can follow us all there. Hopefully Panthers get away with a win here, get their second win of the season. Again, they play the Rams 4:05 p.m. on Fox this Sunday. We'll be back Monday with a recap episode from that, and hopefully we'll be celebrating a Panthers victory Monday. We need one. The one we had felt like it was a while ago, guys. I'm kind of forgetting how it feels.
Peanut butter, jelly.
We'll be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the next episode. For Jonathan Stewart and Schuyler Callihan, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast on the Bleav Podcast Networks. We'll see you guys Monday. Keep pounding.